Well, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. Well, today I wanted to take a few minutes with you to share my thoughts on a film that is part of the Columbia Classics Volume 2 4K Ultra HD set. And this is one of the 6 films as part of that excellent set. If you have not had a chance to see my unboxing of the Columbia Classics Volume 2 set, check that out on the channel. It is an impressive set. There are 6 films in that set in 4K Ultra HD in Dolby Vision, and one of those 6 films is Taxi Driver. This is the 1976 film directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Robert DeNiro, Cybill Shepherd, Jodie Foster, and Albert Brooks, along with a fantastic cast that also includes Harvey Keitel as a pimp in this movie, and Peter Boyle, who played Wizard, another taxi driver in this film. And this is just an absolutely phenomenal film. So I'll tell you a little bit about the film. I'll tell you a little bit about the picture quality on this disc and whether or not I recommend it. Spoiler alert, highly recommended. But anyway, this movie, what can I really say that hasn't already been said about Taxi Driver? So for the benefit of those who may not be familiar with this film, if you have not seen Taxi Driver, this is an absolute classic and essential cinematic experience. So essentially, you've got Robert De Niro. He's playing the role of Travis Bickle in this film. He is an ex-Marine. He is a Vietnam War veteran living in New York City in the 1970s. Of course, this film came out in 1976. And so he's living in New York City in the 1970s after the Vietnam War. He's suffering from PTSD. He's a bit of a loner, and so he's got depression issues. He's got various emotional problems, and those play out over the course of this picture. And he gets into interactions with Cybill Shepherd's character. Cybill Shepherd plays Betsy. So Betsy and Albert Brooks' character are both workers at a campaign headquarters for a senator who's running for president. So they work for his campaign, and there's a little bit of an involvement between Travis Bickle and Betsy that's part of this film that is really interesting. But you see the slow descent into madness that Travis Bickle goes through over the course of this film as a taxi driver in New York City, being a loner. You see the awkwardness of the relationships that he's involved with, and you just see this slow descent into madness that Travis Bickle goes through as part of his journey in this film. It is absolutely masterfully directed by Martin Scorsese, and the cast is terrific. Robert De Niro turns in one of his best performances. I think he is terrific in this. Cybill Shepherd is terrific in her role in this film, and Albert Brooks, who plays a fairly small role as part of the campaign staff, he's excellent. Jodie Foster plays a young girl in this film who's unfortunately involved in prostitution. And so you see the interaction between her and Travis Bickle in this film that's very fascinating. Harvey Keitel plays a pimp in this film. And so all the characters, all the actors are just wonderfully cast, and they do a great job in their roles. So from an acting standpoint, headlined by De Niro, just solid acting across the board. And I also love the way that New York City is portrayed and shown in this film. This film is an excellent time capsule for New York City in the 1970s. And I just cannot say enough about that in terms of seeing the nighttime scenes and the vibe of the city during the nighttime scenes, during the daytime. You really get a sense that you are in New York City in the 1970s when you watch Taxi Driver, and I really appreciate that. And it really comes to life on this 4K Ultra HD picture. So New York City is just a wonderful character in this film, and part of why I love Taxi Driver. But the other reason, the third reason that really makes this film special is the legendary score from legendary composer Bernard Herrmann. Of course, Bernard Herrmann has done a number of legendary compositions throughout his career, including several films from Alfred Hitchcock, including Vertigo and Psycho. So he was a legendary composer. He did the composition and the music for this movie. And there are some songs that you will hear in the score of this film that after you watch this movie, they will continue to play in your head, including the theme for Betsy in this movie. So Cybill Shepherd's character, Betsy, there's a theme that Bernard Herrmann composed for her character that plays throughout the film that is just legendary and so memorable, and it'll stick with you after you hear it. So this film, in terms of the acting, the directing, the setting that it's in, and the music, it just all works. And it's part of the reason why Taxi Driver is one of the great classics of cinema. And it's something you just have to experience for yourself. So highly recommended as a movie, 1976 Taxi Driver. If you have not experienced this film, definitely check it out. As far as the 4K Ultra HD picture, I'll just tell you in a nutshell that this picture looks absolutely phenomenal. I mean, this 4K disc as part of this Columbia Classics Volume 2 set is nothing short of revelatory, excuse me. It just looks incredible. I mean, the nighttime scenes, when you see the taxi cab and you see the beautiful bright yellow and the detail on the taxi itself. You see the rain on the streets, on the taxi, the raindrops, everything just looks sharp and beautifully detailed. The colors really pop with this Dolby Vision HDR. You see the neon signs and the colors of the taxis, and the colors everywhere just are beautifully accentuated with that Dolby Vision HDR. So you get some great definition and detail. The contrast in those night scenes just really pops. I mean, you get a lot of detail even in the dark scenes. How everything, it doesn't really, you don't really experience much in the way of what I think they call black crush. I didn't see really any of that. I mean, this picture, I cannot tell you how awesome it looks on this 4K Ultra HD disc. I mean, the nighttime scenes in particular are just so impressive. The daytime scenes also look great. So when you see interior settings like inside a diner or inside the campaign headquarters or inside Travis Bickle's apartment, every setting you see just beautiful detail all across the board. And so I cannot say enough about how great this 4K Ultra HD picture looks. It looks phenomenal. So you are in good hands when you pop this in your player, especially if you have, of course, a 4K TV that has Dolby Vision enabled and a good 4K player. You will be in good hands with this disc. From an audio standpoint, I believe this is 5.1 DTS HD master audio, and it sounds great. I mean, the music sounds good. All the sounds in the soundscape come across beautifully, and it's a fantastic audio experience to complement that incredible video. So just a fantastic looking and sounding disc overall. So this is a great presentation of this legendary film. The special features on here are also pretty good. That gives you a pretty good background of the making of Taxi Driver. And you get interviews from, I believe, all the major actors: DeNiro, Cybill Shepherd, Jodie Foster, Harvey Keitel. You even get on here, Peter Boyle talks on some of the supplements on here. And of course, Martin Scorsese talks for a portion of the supplements. So you get some really good background in the making of the film. So overall, this is a wonderful part of the Columbia Classics Volume 2 set that I simply cannot recommend enough. I would not go so far as to say that it's worth picking up the set by itself, but if you like some of the other films or have an interest in some of the other movies on this set, like Stripes and Oliver and Anatomy of Murder, if you have an interest in those films as well, definitely pick up that Columbia Classics Volume 2 set. I know recently it was on sale on Amazon at a good price. I'm not sure what it's looking like now, but this Ultra HD picture and presentation of Taxi Driver, this has never looked better than it looks now, and it's absolutely highly recommended. I don't know if at some point they will do single edition releases of those films. That might happen, and if so, and you want to experience this film as a separate release, do not hesitate to pick it up at that time. So there you have it. That's my review of Taxi Driver on 4K Ultra HD as part of the Columbia Classics Volume 2 set. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this film? Do you like Taxi Driver? What do you think about Robert De Niro's performance in this movie and the performance of the other actors? How would you rank Taxi Driver among Martin Scorsese films? And overall, what are you watching this month, and what physical media releases are you most looking forward to in the month of February and beyond for 2022? A lot of exciting things coming this year that I'm excited about, and I'm sure that many of you feel the same way. But let me know all that in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.